Hello, and welcome to another edition of Blue Blood Nation, the podcast that is both entertaining and informative. I'm your host, Mr. Williams. Hello there. Today I have our Cambridge coordinator, Mr. Hoback. Hello, Mr. Hoback.
Mr. Williams, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me. I was always told I have a face for radio, so it's a perfect venue for me.
Glad to hear it. I am glad you are here because I think we need to get to know who you are and a little bit more about the Cambridge program.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, share with us a little bit about who you are as a person, your hobbies, interests, birthplace, the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, so I'm Nathan Hoback, new Cambridge coordinator here, and if you want to go all the way back, I'm Virginia born and bred. I was born in Roanoke, Virginia, in Southwest Virginia. Went to college in Williamsburg, Virginia. Taught for many years in Central Virginia near Richmond, and now I'm up here in Northern Virginia at Potomac High School. So outside of Potomac High School, I try to cook successfully. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I do my best to run as just a way to stay fit. I love movies. I love going to the movies. I love just watching them at home. Yeah, those are the things that keep me busy outside of class or outside of school.
And family?
So I'm married. We don't have any kids yet, but
Mm-hmm.
who knows? Give it some time.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you become an educator?
So I became a teacher right out of college. So I went to college, did an education program, and then a couple months later started in a classroom at Matoka High School in Chesterfield County Schools. I was a high school Spanish teacher and was there at that same school for 12 years. And when I first started, it was an interesting change because when I first started, I thought like, gosh, I love Spanish. I want kids to love Spanish as much as I do. And then at the end of the first year, I remember having a conversation with my principal at the time, Mr. Cunningham, and he said, and this was not a critique of me, but just like in talking, he said, we teach kids first and content second. And so it really struck with me like, yes, I want them to care about Spanish, but the primary goal is to care about them. And then Spanish is the thing that comes second. If they're not cared for, feel loved and comfortable in class, like the rest of it can't happen. So that's why I became an educator for one reason, but after that first year, I stayed an educator for that reason, just because the kids, especially at the high school age, like they're interesting people, they have problems that are, compelling. You want to, help them as much as possible, find some solution for what's going to happen after college or after high school, whether it's college, employment, recruitment. And yeah, I just like love the age group, love the energy of high school. And then as an educator at that time, I really enjoyed the content of Spanish, just loved the energy of it. And then now here at Potomac, I just love the energy of this school and specifically the Cambridge program, that it still has that eye towards like preparing you for something after high school.
Do you ever get pulled in as someone who can speak Spanish into various meetings here at the school by any chance?
Sometimes, like it's very handy just in my own, like the interactions that I would have anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a couple moments where like a student or family needed some sort of translation and happy to pitch in there just because that's one thing I've noticed since like I left the Spanish classroom is that there are just fewer opportunities just in my day-to-day life to speak Spanish. And I mean, I've been speaking it for decades now. Like I think my friends keep saying like, oh, you're not going to lose it, but I'm paranoid about it. I feel like I've got to practice. I've got to keep it up. If I don't flex that muscle, it's going to wither away. So
Right.
I'll take whatever opportunity I can. So
Okay.
if you got some, you send them my way.
Well, we appreciate you. Share with us then the journey it took from where you were before to end up here at the luxurious Potomac High School.
Yeah, luxurious. I mean, folks at home, you can't see where we are, but it's palatial here. Yeah, so I was at Matoka High School in Chesterfield County for those 12 years till 2023 at that end of the school year. A couple years prior, my wife and I had decided that it was the right time to make a move up to Northern Virginia. We have a lot of friends up here, just kind of that built-in community that, we want to just have around and close by. So we moved in 2023. At that point, I decided, you know what? I've taught for 12 years. I've loved it. Like leaving a school that I felt very attached to, which has a lot of the shared qualities that I'm loving about Potomac High School. And I thought, let me try something different. So since summer 2023 up until I came here to Potomac, I was working outside of education. Like kids were graduating and looking for jobs, we can talk together about the job market and that process because it's interesting and sometimes brutal. The job I found was not one that I was aiming for necessarily, but I ended up at a trade association that had to do with like drones and things like that. I don't have any background in that, but you make it work. But it became very clear to me soon that although that was valid work and I appreciate my time there, I just was not fulfilled. Like it was like there's just something about being in a school, knowing that your energy is going to people, specifically kids in the age group that I care most about right now. Um, yeah, I just missed it so much. I missed that level of return. I feel very selfish in that way. Like, you put out the energy, you get it back. And I, just missed that. So I very soon started looking for other opportunities and learned about my wife is a teacher in Prince William County.
Okay.
And I think somebody in her main office said like, oh, there's an opportunity at Potomac High School. It's a great place. And I learned about it. I applied and here we are.
And we're grateful for it.
Oh, I
I'm glad
appreciate
you're
it.
here. Since you are our Cambridge coordinator, for all of those out there listening who are not familiar what Cambridge is, as well as those that are familiar with it but want to know the reason a student should be involved in it, would you share that with us, please?
Sure. So Potomac's a special place in that it has several specialty programs. There are specialty programs in welding, culinary arts, cybersecurity, and also the Cambridge program. It's a little different from those other specialty programs. They're very focused on one topic. Cambridge is more about like a means to an end, and that end for most of our students, hopefully, is to get some college credit at no cost to you before you leave high school.
Mm-hmm.
So the Cambridge program just consists of courses. So like courses that students can take you could take, all 4 years that you're here, the ones in your 11th and 12th grade year, the ones that you would that could potentially get you some college credit. Um, that's essentially what it is, just a menu of options for students to hopefully take a course, challenge themselves at a higher rigor in that course, learn a little bit more, go into a deeper level of understanding, and then at the end, take an assessment that comes from, you guessed it, Cambridge. It's an international program. And then with that exam, should they reach a certain score, they have a college credit. Now, this could be a la carte. Maybe you see like, hey, I'm strong in math. In my 11th grade year, I'm going to take like ACE math. Maybe you're strong in history. Could pick and choose like that. Or you could go for a little bit more. You could take a total of 7 courses at least across multiple content areas, your math, your science, your language, etc., and potentially earn the ACE diploma.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you're walking across the stage with a handful of credits and you're walking across the stage with a special type of diploma to go alongside your PWCS diploma, just to show folks that not only is this a student that could, achieve something that's fantastic, a high school diploma, but also somebody who can apply themselves, who has the credit, who's a go-getter, and also it's sort of like a badge of sticker of approval. Like colleges will see, okay, they've got the Cambridge diploma. That means that they can challenge themselves. And if you listen to college admissions counselors and folks at universities, they know that their Cambridge candidates who come here to their university are the folks who can survive in college, can thrive in college, can contribute and succeed in classes, and kind of avoid that freshman year struggle that a lot of students have.
Well, since we have those classes that tend to be rigorous, what would you share with families and students that are going to be or are in these classes that would allow them to be successful?
Yeah, I would say first start early. So we have 2 types or titles to your Cambridge courses. They're IGCSE, IGCSE, and then ACE, AICE. The ACE courses, like we said, those are the ones in your 11th, 12th grade year. You have the exam at the end, you get a certain score, you get the college credit, no cost to you. Fantastic. Prior to that, in your 9th and 10th grade year, there are classes that we have here that can sort of prepare you for that rigor. So we want students to be as prepared as possible for anything, and one way to do that is take that course in 9th grade, 10th grade. You're still earning your credits towards your standard regular diploma here at Potomac High School, but also it's going to prepare you for that rigor. I think also utilize our teachers. We have fantastic teachers here, including the ones who teach our Cambridge courses. So while you're in there, just understand that you've got the support there. It's a rigorous program, but it's not a sink or swim. It's okay, you're here. This is more rigorous. This will be a challenge for you, and you have somebody to guide you along that path. And then I think otherwise, my suggestion would be sort of a change of mentality, just to think like this is a challenge, and you should challenge yourself. And if you need to just stick your toe in the water at first by taking a Cambridge course in the content area you feel strongest in, do that, and then add on another for the subsequent year. So just making sure that you do realize this will be a challenge, and there may be some discomfort in that, but that's what life is about. You know, you're growing when you've got some discomfort sometimes.
Excellent. This wasn't a question I initially planned for, but I think would be important because you speak of Cambridge, which is something likely new to a lot of us. Would you compare Cambridge to IB and AP, if you can, please?
Yeah, of course. So, and I think that's a wise question because AP, Advanced Placement, is probably one that people are a little bit more familiar with, IB as well. So Cambridge, first of all, if you haven't heard of it, doesn't mean it's less legitimate. It's just we're one of only a few schools in Virginia that offer this program. So it's of all the places that you could come to go to high school, Potomac's one of those great places because we offer this program that's not available everywhere. How does it compare to AP and IB? So with AP, what you're going to find is, well, let's start with IB. That's the one that's top of mind for me. IB is a little less flexible. They're all valid, and they're totally fine. I'm not here to knock another program necessarily, but let's knock another program. No. So IB is a little bit more prescriptive. So like you enroll in IB, and then a lot of your high school career is determined for you. For the Cambridge program, you're still taking advanced courses. You're still going to leave with a different type of diploma, ideally, if you go for that option. But you've got more choice. So Cambridge is a specialty program. So if you want to apply to that, awesome. If you want to do things for our other specialty program, you can do that simultaneously. If you are a student who plays the violin, who sings in chorus, who is playing a sport and maybe has a limited amount of time or you feel like you have a limited amount of time going into the school year, like maybe you're just taking one or two Cambridge courses to start. So there's a lot of flexibility with Cambridge that you don't get with IB, in my opinion. And that's, what I feel most folks would agree with. For AP, I think the biggest differences for me for AP would be sort of the depth of the content and the kind of quality of the content that you're doing and the types of exams you'd be taking. So first, the depth of content. A lot of folks say that with Cambridge, it's like a smaller amount of content, but you're going really deep. So if you're looking at the ocean from the side, you're really like finding every little detail and nuance of a topic. Whereas AP, you may just be covering a bunch of different things with some depth, but it's more about like the wide variety of content in a certain subject. I think secondly, for AP, there are some tests for AP where you're going to have multiple choice questions.
Okay.
And I get that, like for speed of grading, that's what you got to do sometimes. But for Cambridge, you're not going to see multiple choice questions because it's not about, can you guess and have a 1 in 4 shot of getting a question right? But it's all about like, here's the problem, here's the situation. Have you learned? Now show and demonstrate. Can you apply that learning? Okay. So there's not the depth of knowledge that you walk away with is something that you can demonstrate in more than just like circling an option. It's like, can you really do something? Do you have skills? And that's another reason why colleges honor these courses and those exams with credit, because you've really learned something and you've shown it.
Well, thank you for that. And that makes a lot more sense. I mean, I've actually learned something about those various programs. Hey, I appreciate it.
Hey,
you can always learn something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, are there any final thoughts, anything that comes to mind that we may not have covered or you would like to elaborate on?
I would say I've returned to what I said in terms of like what should students and families know before you might take a Cambridge course. I would say just challenge yourself and challenge yourself in whatever way you'd like. Take one class to start as a 9th grader. Take a second one, your 10th grade year. Ease yourself in if you have some worry, because at the end of the day, the biggest selling point of the Cambridge program is something that's very important to me personally. Like I'm sure a lot of adults who went to college can relate to the fact that having college credits that came to you at no cost is invaluable. Just being able to walk into college, and even if you don't want to go to a 4-year college, even if your plan is to work, but you want to get some sort of degree, what if you got a couple college credits in high school? You transferred them to one of the community colleges here around Potomac High School. You got some sort of degree, and then you carried on working, but you had a degree to your name. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so important and essential. Like if I could go back and assist my mother with paying for college or helping to take out those loans, I
Right.
would. Those loans will travel with you forever, even if you do just a couple classes at a community college. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you do what you need to do to make it work. But with this solution, this program in place at Potomac High School, I think it's just a no-brainer to at least try to challenge yourself. It can open so many doors for you.
And I fully agree. Thank you. And there you have it. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Blue Blood Nation podcasts. So I want you to keep in mind that Mr. Hoback is here at Potomac, open and willing to answer questions, to guide and support. Well, until next time, remember, if you're not listening, you're not learning. Bye for now.